Holy shit! It's raining running backs. Running back ads week 6 coming up next. It's a pretty good week for running back ads heading into week 6, and we have a couple must ads that you gotta get these guys on your roster one way, shape, or form. First of all, we will obviously talk about Devonte Booker, running back for the New York Giants, just 6% rostered, 94% available. Everybody's dashing right now to their computers to try to get this guy off waivers. And there is a little bit of justification to this. This guy's obviously going to get work as long as Saquon Barkley is out. Now, he did just suffer a minor ankle injury. However, with his injury history, I would expect New York to take their time with this guy. He's out at least a couple weeks, in my opinion, but at the very least 1 week, which gives you, if you need a guy right now that's going to get touches in an offense that will not just use him in the running game, but in the passing game, Devonte Booker is a very appealing guy for week 6. He's got a tough matchup, but I still think that the work will be there, the passing work will be there, and we saw that he has a eagerness to get in the end zone last week. He got a touchdown off of the passing game. That was actually quite the effort. Got a touchdown in the running game. His efficiency wasn't great, but beggars can't be choosers. Devonte Booker, a must-add for week 6. Had to do a retake on this one with news coming across the wire right now that Clyde Edwards-Helaire going on short-term IR with an MCL sprain. That means, Darrel Williams, you are definitely a must-add for week 6. This guy is going to be the guy, or should be the guy, in the backfield for the Chiefs. He's been pretty efficient with his opportunities thus far this year. They started using him in the passing game starting in week 3, and since week 3, he's got 7 receptions, so he's got a little bit of a floor in PPR when you think about how much work he's going to get in the rushing game, how much work he'll get in the passing game, and obviously, maybe this isn't quite the same Chiefs offense that we've seen the last couple years, but this is definitely an offense that you want to attach yourself to in fantasy. And Darrel Williams is going to have opportunities every week in the red zone to get a touchdown on the board. I'm not saying he's going to get a touchdown every week, but he's going to have opportunities every week in an offense like this to score for your team, and beggars can't be choosers at this point. And right now, this is probably the number one ad at the position this week when you think about the ability to get points every single week. Like I said, they're using him in the passing game. He's going to get double-digit touches in the rushing game every week. He's been efficient so far this year. Now, he's not amazing. He doesn't blow your socks off. There's a reason why he's been the backup, but he has lots of experience in this offense. They trust this guy. I don't think they're going to make any knee-jerk reaction and try to bring in a backup to come in and take over this starting role for just a couple weeks. So I think they're going to have the faith in Williams for a few weeks to take over this role and give your fantasy team a good bump while they wait for Clyde Edwards-Helaire to get healthy. Jerick McKinnon, I'm not so excited about this guy. They did give him a run. They gave him a couple passes after we saw CH go down. But the fact is, this is going to be the change of pace guy. And I don't see much of a role for McKinnon outside of Williams falling on his face in this offense. And I really don't see that happening. And then he has to do so bad that faith, that trust that this coaching staff has in him is gone. And like I said, I don't see Williams being so bad over the next 3-4 weeks that we expect Clyde Edwards-Helaire to be out to have McKinnon supersede him in this lineup. I don't think McKinnon is really much of more than a speculative add, and I don't think he really ends up panning out. I could be wrong, obviously. Once again, this is an offense that you want to attach yourself to, but I think Darrel Williams is the back you want to own in the Kansas City backfield. Another must-add, A.J. Dillon, 61% rostered, so he's right on that precipice of maybe he's out there. 39% leagues have access to this guy on waivers, and when you look at what he's done, his involvement in this offense that has Aaron Rodgers at the helm in weeks 4 and weeks 5, it warrants attention and it warrants a roster spot, especially if you're a Jones owner. If you're a Jones owner, I want this guy no matter what. I might be looking to acquire him just like a Cooks owner would be trying to acquire Madison. If Jones gets hurt, A.J. Dillon's going to be a must-start play. Right now, he's kind of flirting with that flex territory, like I said, with what he's done in weeks 4 and weeks 5. He's definitely in the flex conversation. When you consider standard and how important running backs are in standard and how much work that he looks like he's on his way to getting in this offense, kind of getting that Jamal Williams role. Maybe it even grows into a slightly bigger role. I know in week 4, I think we were all really impressed with what he was able to do, and then he finds the end zone again in week 5. I really like A.J. Dillon, a guy that needs to be more rostered. He needs to be a guy that's minimum 85, 90% rostered, in my opinion, because if you have Jones and he's out there, he should be on your roster. You need to make sure that you have this insurance policy locked down. And who knows, you might even end up using both of these guys a week or two at the same time, just based on bye-week needs. Another guy that's extremely readily available, got a lot more work than I think we even anticipated. I knew that Khalil Herbert, running back for the Chicago Bears, 8.2% rostered ESPN leagues, was going to have a role, but I did not realize the size of the role that he was going to have while David Montgomery was on IR. In week 5, 18 rushes for 75 yards. Now, not used in the passing game, so his PPR need is definitely a touchdown or bust type of back. But when you look at the usage, especially in standard, this is a guy I want on my roster until David Montgomery comes back. We think about how efficient he was, 4.2 yards per carry. That's pretty good for a guy that was taken in the later rounds of the draft, was kind of an afterthought at the position, and comes in and just kind of picks up right where David Montgomery left off. Had a really good combination with him and Damian Williams. It creates a unique combination for opposing defenses, but we do know what Khalil Herbert is at this point. He's a guy that's going to be your in-between the tackles bruiser, and like I said, especially in a standard league, I really would want this guy on my roster. He's definitely, I think, going to have flexibility, that flex appeal with all of the work that it looks like he might be getting as long as David Montgomery is out. Another guy that to me is kind of a must-add, need to get those numbers up a little bit more, is Alex Collins. Finding out that Chris Carson has a lingering neck injury, that this has been something he's been dealing with, and then he just couldn't play through last week, is interesting. Now, Carson getting 10 days off between Thursday and Sunday to get things right, see if he can come back, but neck injuries are no joke. And then to boot, Carson hasn't been running as well as he has in the past. Maybe this has something to do with the neck injury. And we think about what Alex Collins has done in this offense in his first stint in Seattle, what he's doing this year. He looks a little bit more explosive than Carson at this point, and he might actually end up turning out to be the guy coming down the end of the season. We don't know. We don't even know if Chris Carson is going to be able to play again this season. I imagine he will. He's quite possible he's back this Sunday, but like I said, a neck injury is something to to be worried about, especially as a Carson owner. Collins, 55.8% rostered. If he's out there and I'm a Carson owner, I need to have Collins as my backup. He's clearly the guy if Carson goes down. When you look at the usage, yes, we got a little bit of usage from the other backs, but they used Collins in the passing game, saved your ass if you used him last week on his last reception. They used him in the running game. He is going to be, if he is a starter, a low-end RB2, and you can go out there and get him basically in 45% of leagues. Sony Michel also available in 45% of leagues. This guy has double-digit rushes in 3 of the 5 games he's been in. And then when you think about what happened in week 4, he fumbled the ball, never saw the field again. Very easily could have double-digit rushes in 4 of the 5 games that he's participated in this season. And you also think about the fact that Henderson has a little bit of a history with getting dinged up here and there. And Sony Michel definitely has a pathway to carries and fantasy relevance this season in a prolific offense in the LA Rams, a team that gets their running backs opportunities in the red zone. We've seen it from both Henderson and Michel, and both of them came up big on Thursday night. I think Michel will continue to be a piece of this offense, a kind of a desperate play flex, unless Henderson gets hurt or until we start seeing a little bit more work out of Michel. But he's definitely a guy that should be rostered in more than 54% of leagues. And obviously we have Rhamondre Stevenson, 7.1% rostered in New England. This guy is also a guy that probably should be rostered, especially in standard leagues. He does have the chops to catch the ball, but he has had some issues already early in his career with fumbles in New England, and we know what that is. But Harris just fumbled on Sunday, got beat up, has a rib injury, doesn't look like it's going to be serious, very well could be playing again on Sunday. But Rhamondre Stevenson was basically like the preseason MVP. This guy had a lot of buzz coming into the year, but Harris kind of shut him up. And Mac Jones, when he's had to be the guy, has been really good in the passing game. They really haven't had to have Stevenson come in and play a role so far up until week 5, when he got 11 carries for 23 yards after Harris suffered the rib injury. Not very efficient, but we're talking about a guy with opportunity that's virtually free at 7% rostered. And in a standard league, you kind of got to go with touches, right? In standard, you just kind of got to go with touches. So if Harris doesn't play, Stevenson definitely has some appeal there, and maybe they actually get him involved in the passing game. However, Bolden does look like he's pretty entrenched now as the passing game's back, with White out for the season. A few guys that I would look for. I would definitely look for these guys. They're not widely available. They're basically available in 20 to 25% of leagues. But Michael Carter, there's desperate league owners in almost every league for running backs. This guy is the lead back. He's got back-to-back games with touchdowns. He's getting a little bit of passing work. He's not super sexy, but at this point, he's kind of getting things done. Zach Wilson does have the ability to move this offense a little bit, and you do have a coaching staff that wants to commit to the run, that wants to run the ball, and they want Michael Carter to be that guy. It's been a slow road to hoe for Carter, but he's slowly becoming a more relevant fantasy running back, and he's slowly taking over that backfield a little bit more every week, where he seems to definitely be the guy, and everybody is basically taking a backseat or spelling him in the game. Elijah Mitchell, 78.2% rostered. Everybody went out and spent all their fab on this guy week 1, and then he got hurt, and then people started dropping him, but he came back in week 5, took over the backfield, was the guy. Trey Sermon only had like 1 or 2 touches in the game. It was the Elijah Mitchell show, so he's out there in about 22% of leagues. I would definitely look to pick him up. We know San Francisco, that running game can be prolific. I know it hasn't to this point, but I think I wouldn't mind having a little bit of Michael Carter or Elijah Mitchell on my roster. Tony Pollard, 73.3% rostered, so he's out there in about 27% of leagues, and he's been getting work every week. He's in a offense that I know we all thought was going to be pass, and after week 1, they've gone back. They've reformatted their offense. It's extremely balanced. It's even a little bit more balanced to the running game. Zeke's been awesome. Tony Pollard's been awesome. Tony Pollard's been getting work. He gets work in the passing game. He gets work in the running game. He has opportunities to get touchdowns almost every single week. He is not the greatest flex, but he is flexible. He is not an RB2, but if, you have running backs go down, you didn't have Cook, you don't have Carson, you don't have whoever, Saquon Barkley, and you didn't have the backup, this is another guy that maybe you could look for. And then finally, this is why you don't drop players, you bench players early in the season. Myles Gaskin, 80% rostered, 20% available out there. Myles Gaskin was huge in week 5. It just reminds me a lot of the 2020 season when they gave Myles Gaskin some work and he had some signs early on, but they really wanted to try to force in a early downs back or a goal line back, and it just never worked out. They tried doing that with Brown. Brown had one big play. Outside of that, he's been terrible. And then you look at what Gaskin has done this season. When he's had opportunities, he has been efficient. They finally gave him the reins in week 5. Let's hope that is the signs of things to come, because that's what happened last year. And once he got the reins last year, he was fucking epic. So if Myles Gaskin gets the reins, he's going to be a guy that if you got him, you're one of those 20% leagues, you go out there and get him, he could be a game changer for your roster. If you're a guy that, or a roster manager that just decided to bench him, kudos, good job. You should have benched him, but you also have him. You now have signs of hope that Myles Gaskin can succeed on your roster moving forward. Thank you for watching. Make sure you like, share, subscribe to the channel. I join Mike Lynch and Rashad Taylor on Sunday mornings on 1080 The Fan here in Portland, Oregon. We take start-sit questions on the Fantasy Scramble starting at 9:30 a.m. Pacific time. You can send in your texts and your start-sit questions to 503-250-1080. We will answer them live on the air, and you can listen live on the link down below in the description on the Odyssey app. Thank you for watching, and make sure that you check out my wide receiver ads for week 6.